What a Catch, Part 20, a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction. If you have not heard the previous 19 parts of the story, you can find a link to them in the description box below. Nathalie Sancoeur led a simple life. She had worked for her boss, Gabriel Agreste, for over 20 years before he died, and he left her a rather large portion of his assets, divided equally between her and his son. The money was more than a woman needed in her lifetime, and she now had the luxury of not needing to work. The last 2 years had taken her around Europe, backpacking and relying on the hospitality of strangers for a place to sleep at night as she tried to find herself, as her boss requested. The night Gabriel Agreste passed away was one of her clearest memories. "Nathalie," he said, "I am leaving you half of what I am. You have given me the better years of your life. Now go and live the life you want without restraints." The words of a dying man are always powerful, but she hadn't prepared herself to lose her lifelong friend. How could he do that so suddenly? She had been running his life for so long that she didn't know how to do anything else, including running her own. What did she want from life? She didn't know. She spent so much time fulfilling another man's dreams that she didn't have any of her own. So, after her years of travel, she came back to Paris and rented out the same apartment she had during her employment at the Agreste household. Parts of her life were different, of course. She bought a Vespa to ride around on instead of biking, and spent extra money on the luxury of having her groceries delivered. But not much had changed. She still cooked for herself and did her own laundry, despite being more than able to afford hired help. It was a simple life. As simple as it can be when you know the identities of Paris's vigilante superheroes, that is. Surprisingly, she had learned Ladybug's identity first. The girl had made the mistake of transforming while in front of the young master's bedroom. Little did she know that Gabriel had cameras installed in all of the hallways after a Christmas where Adrien had gone missing. She didn't tell her boss, but instead disposed of the evidence and went on her way, chuckling to herself that Paris's heroine had a crush on the boy who couldn't go to bed without sneaking some camembert into his room. Then she came to know who Cat Noir was. It was late on a Tuesday night, long past the hours she was asked to work, when she heard a strange noise coming from the western wing. Behind the forgotten door of his wife's craft room sat Gabriel, crying about his son. It was that night that Nathalie learned about the Miraculous, where they came from, and how worried he was about Adrien being sucked into the family legacy Gabriel had tried so hard to shield him from. The other teenage Miraculous holders were trickier. Both of them had loud personalities, but, somehow, knew enough to keep their mouths shut when a secret was involved. She hadn't figured out who Alia was until after her Kwame went missing, but she had ended up stalking Chloe until she transformed into her civilian self. But what was a simple woman supposed to do with that information? The answer was simple. She would protect Adrien. She loved the boy in a way that he could never understand. She couldn't express her emotions towards him freely, as the job restricted her from playing a maternal role. But Adrien was the second most important person in her life, falling short only to his father. She had often wondered when her feelings for Gabriel began to develop. She never breathed a word about it, of course, but she fell in love with the man somewhere along the way. That's probably why she went to such great lengths to protect his son. A year before Hawkmoth disappeared, she went to Chloe, disguised in her own way, and told her that if any of the Miraculous holders needed to get in contact with each other, they only need call the number on the card, and she would make it happen. No one ever called, So as time went by and Hawkmoth disappeared, she thought the story was over. And it was. Until the cell phone rang. It took her by surprise, causing her to nearly spill her tea. One of the children was calling? Had something happened? A million questions raced through her mind as she sprinted to answer the phone before the caller hung up. Hello? Her voice was strained as she tried to hide her panting breath. She quickly said a prayer, hoping it was Adrien on the other end. She hadn't talked to him in over a year, and her heart was full of longing to see him again. The son that wasn't hers. It was a girl on the other end, and a shy one at that. It's Ladybug. Nathalie took a moment to compose herself before answering. Hello, Ladybug. Who would you like to talk to? She answered in a calm, manager-style voice. Who is this? I am the connector. Nathalie smirked to herself, knowing that she should have come up with a better name. The poor girl was probably utterly confused. I help miraculous holders, past and present, when needed. Is there a question you would like to have answered? Question? You know about the miraculous? How much? More than you, Baronet. She heard the girl's quiet gasp, followed by what was surely a moment of panic. How would she respond to what might be the first person to know her civilian identity? I need to meet up with the other miraculous holders, she whispered. Hawkmoth is coming, and they sent me a message, but... But? Not Cat Noir. I'm sorry? Cat Noir can't be there. I'll set something up. Nathalie knew better than to ask why, but she had a small moment of panic nonetheless. Had something happened to Adrien? Had something happened to her sweet boy? When will I know? I'll confirm times with the ladies and drop you off a formal invitation at your residence. You know where I live? I've been watching over you kids for a long time, Ladybug. Who are you? I am the connector. Have we met before? Yes. Silence echoed between them as neither woman was sure how to respond. Thank you, Marinette whispered, breaking the quiet moment before hanging up the phone. Nathalie sighed and leaned back in her chair, tension leaving her body. It had been a long time since she ran an errand for someone, but she was okay with it. Doing this for Ladybug, the love of Adrien's life, seemed natural. Still, she had to wonder, why didn't she want Cat Noir there? What had happened between their partnership that caused her to go behind his back? It didn't matter. Her role was to help them find each other and supply answers where Master Fu would not. Picking up the phone, she dialed Chloe Bourgeois to confirm a time for tomorrow. The girl was surprised, but pleased at the call, grumping about how long it had taken to get in contact. It was the typical Chloe response. She may have grown up, but traces of her teenage self remained. Nathalie smiled to herself and opened up her laptop to design an invitation to drop off at the Dupain Chang Bakery. A little Canva and a printer later, she had a cute red card covered in black spots. Marinette would know it's for her. Grabbing her helmet and keys, Nathalie went outside to take the Vespa for a spin, tootling her way down to the bakery. There's no doubt that the bakery would be closed at this time of night, but all she needed was to send it in with a delivery man. From what she could remember, Marinette enjoyed pizza, so she'd slip a 20 to the pizzeria across the street to send the invitation. To her surprise, she saw an all too familiar silhouette outside the bakery as she pulled up. He was caught in surprise crossing the street, his features illuminated by the headlight of her Vespa. Adrien! Thank you so much for listening. Part 21 will be coming out shortly. In the meantime, you can check out these videos below for more fanfiction. I'll catch you next time.